Today marks the 75th anniversary of Israel's independence.
The birth of the country marked a critical moment for Jews all across the globe. On the Hebrew calendar, today is known as Yom Ha'atzmaut, otherwise known as the Day of Independence. The day generally unites the country as a whole, but this year there is growing tension and protests across Israel as a result of a potential government overhaul. Rabbi Rick Jacobs joins us now. He is the president of the Union for Reform Judaism. Rabbi, the U.S. has generally had a strong relationship with Israel over the past 75 years. Where does it stand now?
Well, I think it's still very strong. I mean, when Ben-Gurion declared the state 75 years ago, the first country to recognize Israel was, in fact, the United States. And between Democratic and Republican administrations through the years, that relationship has grown, I think, even stronger, though it is clear that today there are some internal tensions within the state of Israel that are getting not only attention around the world, but a lot of activism within Israel to preserve Israel's democratic core, because Israel is both a Jewish and democratic state. And today is a day of celebration, even as there are tensions.
That's a good point, Rabbi, and we should also highlight that there's a difference between Israel as a nation, Jewish people in Israel, and Jewish people in the United States. Those are not monolithic entities. And to that point, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he's been facing severe backlash domestically over his planned judicial reforms, which many say are a threat to those democratic norms that you've just outlined. I'm wondering, how do Jewish people here in the U.S. view that threat?
Well, I think they see it as a threat. And the people who are speaking up most loudly from the United States at the moment are the people who love Israel, who support Israel, who every day will raise their voices in support. And because of that love, we are concerned that the independence of the judiciary, the role of the Supreme Court as the protector of Israel's minorities, whether those minorities be LGBTQ individuals, non-Orthodox Jews, women, Israeli Arabs, all of those individual groups have been protected by that Supreme Court. That's the Israel that we love. That's the Israel that we recognize. And so for those Jews in America who are celebrating today, and we are celebrating, we're also celebrating the foundations upon which Israel was created in its Declaration of Independence, that Israel be a country built on freedom, justice, and equality. Those are things not only to stand up for, but to preserve over these decades.
Rabbi, you had mentioned the strong relations between the U.S. and Israel through various administrations, whether Republican or Democrat. Well, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is planning to visit Israel at the start of May. How important is his trip for U.S.-Israeli relations? And do you know what the purpose is of this trip?
Well, first of all, it's important for American leaders to travel to Israel, to be seen and to be heard, and also to see with their own eyes what's taking place. So we're very supportive. We think it's good. And here's the thing that's very critical. Too often today, Israel is used as a partisan wedge. So I would hope that the Speaker of the House will raise a bipartisan voice of support for Israel and not start to score, points on the partisan scale. That's critical. Also, Governor DeSantis will be there very soon. And I also expect when Israeli leaders come here to do the very same, to raise a voice that recognizes the support for Israel in America is bipartisan. Let's not harm that. That is something that must never be weakened. But unfortunately, in today's divisive politics, it's being weakened pretty regularly. So I think for the speaker and for the governor, do no harm, raise a joint voice of love and support.
And Rabbi, there's also a lot of work for Democrats and Republicans to do in protecting Jewish people here in the U.S. I mean, all minority groups, marginalized groups have seen an uptick in hate crimes. Anti-Semitism is spiking. I know in Pittsburgh, jury selection, in fact, is underway in the Tree of Life synagogue shooting. What's your message to Jewish leaders, to non-Jewish leaders in really extinguishing this rise in intolerance?
Yeah, it's so critical. The uptick in anti-Semitism, which has been noted over the past years, is both alarming and requires a serious response. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter where you are in the political spectrum. If you're Jewish, you're vulnerable. If you go to synagogue, you are vulnerable. And this great country has a responsibility to protect all those marginalized communities and to make sure that we can practice our religion freely. So the government needs to be responsive, local law enforcement, and also our local communities. It's beautiful to see the interfaith solidarity. After the Tree of Life shooting, we saw a remarkable outreach from the Christian, from the Muslim, from the Buddhist, and the Sikh community saying, we stand in solidarity. That is also uniquely American. We need to see more of that. But we need to protect all those who feel endangered to simply be who they are and to live their life freely in this great country. We're not doing enough, and we need to do this together. It's not a Democrat or Republican issue. It's not an Orthodox or non-Orthodox. It's an issue across the entire spectrum. We can do better. I pray we will.
Yeah, but interfaith solidarity is great to see. We just need to see it, year-round and in all circumstances. Rabbi Rick Jacobs, thanks for your time today.
My pleasure. Good to be with you.